Welcome back to Good Day Maine. In this morning's Transparency Tracker, the nonprofit group Truth in Accounting recently ranked the financial health of all 50 states in America and gave Maine a letter grade of C.
Joining us to break down the numbers is an investigative journalist from OpenTheBooks.com, Jeremy Portnoy. Jeremy, why didn't Maine get a better grade in this report?
So that grade's based on the fact that it would take $2,300 from every taxpayer in Maine just to pay off the state's bills and debt. So if they used every penny they have right now, they would still be $1.3 billion short. So they need more money. Last year it was almost twice as bad. So they're definitely making improvements. Some of that's only on paper. They actually changed the way they account for their healthcare plans. So that makes the numbers a little better. But either way, this is relatively better than we've seen it. Since this report started coming out in 2009, they've never had a perfectly balanced budget.
So Maine's treasurer says it would only take $1,100 from every Maine resident to pay off the state's debt, and it can be paid with current taxes. Truth in Accounting's number is twice as high. Why is that the case?
So there's a few reasons. Almost every state in the country, they have a law that says they have to balance their budget. So they'll kind of fudge the numbers a bit to make that the case. Sometimes they'll underestimate expenses or overestimate their revenues to make it look like everything lines up perfectly. But when you break down some of the numbers, turns out Maine, their pension funds, for example, they're not accounting for how that changes in the stock market, right? A stock goes up and down, your 401k goes up and down, but they account for their pension investments as if they're totally static. And they're also underestimating those expenses because they're being earned right now by these current workers, but they're pushing all that into the future. So that's kind of what messes up the numbers a bit.
Oh, why would Maine need so much money from every taxpayer to pay off its debt?
Well, they've actually got over $12 billion in bills right now. Half of that's for bonds. So you probably remember voting on some of those huge construction bonds over the last few years. That's actually not the problem. It's some of these smaller bonds that are racking up the bills. They've passed some bonds for about $30 million, but they set the interest rate around 10% and give themselves 20 years to pay it off. So by the time they pay it back, now you're talking about $40 million in interest. That adds up to a lot of money.
And how do Maine's bills compare to other states?
So if you look at the whole country, Maine's ranked number 31 for fiscal health in this report. So not too great, not terrible either. The silver lining is that they're better than most of New England. Connecticut is actually dead last. They say it would take $44,000 from every person to pay off their bills. Massachusetts and Vermont are also in the bottom 10. New Hampshire is right above Maine. They're the only New England state that's better. But there's still 23 states that do have enough money and can actually pay off all their bills and still have money left to give back to taxpayers. So that's the goal, and that's what we're going to look for Maine to eventually reach.
All right, interesting information. Again, Jeremy Portnoy with OpenTheBooks.com.